Hi everyone, Chris here, and today I wanted to talk about instructional design as a creative act and creativity in general. Over the past several days, actually over a week, we've been talking about the 12 pillars of creativity. And today I wanted to talk about the 11th of these pillars, and this is autonomy, or the ability to make choices. Because let's face it, if you're working on a project and you don't have any say in anything, and you're basically doing a repetitive, robotic, exactly follow the script kind of project, you're probably not feeling very creative in what you're doing. So, in order to express our creativity, we need to have a little bit of autonomy in what we're doing, and we need to be able to make choices about how we implement our vision. And this is a frustrating thing for instructional designers across the board because if you work in academia, chances are you're teamed up with a professor who it's their class and you're there to support and help them. And if you're working in corporate, then somebody from marketing brought you down the style guide. So you know exactly how this needs to look. But that's just the reality of it. You're there to help the professor, and corporate brand consistency is important. So, how do you exercise creativity? How do you take this autonomy and this ability to make choices and leverage it to be creative under these constraints? Creativity doesn't exist without constraints, and so we can adapt our creative expression within whatever constraints we're given. And the key here is twofold. First is acknowledging the areas where we do have control, where we are making decisions. And I find one of the easiest ways to do this is just with a yellow pad. Just throughout the day, jot down the choices that you're making, the decisions that you're making about what you're doing. I bet you're going to find you make a lot more decisions and choices about the products you're making, about the learning you're designing than you realize. Even if you have a tight corporate style guide that tells you exactly what font and size and colors and all of it, even if they throw you a horrible template, you still are making choices. Once you've gone through for a day or two and written down all of the individual tiny minute choices that you're making, you can reflect on them and just sort of look through and see where you could leverage your control. I I like to think of this a little bit like the Antonio Banderas, I pronounced that wrong, but anyway, the Zorro movie, where Zorro has to learn how to be Zorro from the old Zorro. And there was this concept of the Zorro Circle. Your whole life is inside this circle. You only control what's inside this circle. And sometimes we want to control the whole world, but we do have our zone of control, our locus of control, to use the actual term. Um, and whatever's in that locus of control, we can influence. And that's where we can take our creativity and really make it shine. If you give up, if you don't realize the areas that you have control over, you end up losing that spark. And you deserve the spark, and your project deserves your creativity. So examine the area where you have control. Look at your little Zorro circle, your locus of control, and if it helps, jot down the decisions that you make throughout the day related to your project. I think you're going to find a lot, and I think you're going to find that you can make a difference and you can express your creativity in your project. And when you do that, your project comes alive and it just ends up being a better product in the end. So, tomorrow I'm going to share the final of the 12 pillars of creativity, the 12 things we can do to enhance our creativity, be more creative, and end up just being better instructional designers because of leveraging our creativity, setting it free, as it were. So, I will talk with you tomorrow and consider all of the different areas where you are making decisions and you have that locus of control. Alrighty, I'll talk with you tomorrow.